Monday, March 31st, 2025. And the View started by talking about the stupid orange felon saying he would run for president again in 4 years. I mean, we all knew he never wanted to leave. Um, he may come up with a reason so that there's just no election and he just stays. It's so far away from now. And quite frankly, we need to find a way to get rid of this regime sooner than that. So I don't really give a flying fuck what he says about 2028 right now. And thank God for Anna Navarro being like, none of us wanted to talk about this because it's just a distraction from other things that are headlines that are not going his way right now. And then she starts to list them, which is great. Thank you, Anna, for keeping them in the conversation. The information that what I think was the Wall Street Journal has that there are other top secret and security related chats going on the Signal app. Of course there are. No one thought that one was weird. Um, and the point is not that, oops, he accidentally added a journalist. That was a fuck up. But the fact that they're using the app at all. Um, and so there needs to be continued pressure on that um, and on that entire group of people that were on that chain, Gabbard and Hegseth and Gates, not Gates, uh, Vance, and Walls, and it, uh, so yes, more of that. And she also mentioned because there's a few stories coming up. The gay hairdresser, he called himself a barber while he was being arrested. Not arrested, just kidnapped. Um, and there's more and more stories about people getting disappeared, and you're seeing video footage of people just on the street getting disappeared. And there's these stories have been going on in the city of New York for a while, and now they're getting more prevalent. And I don't know why there isn't bigger outrage for that. That is Gestapo bullshit. Where are our former presidents and secretaries of state and be the leaders of the FBI and the CIA and law enforcement? Where are all the people to say this is unacceptable? And the other thing that's really frustrating and disconcerting about this, not only can you just get picked up off the street and then disappeared into some prison, knowing that that's happening because it's all on our uh, plain closed, um, no official uh, identification. Anybody could be picking people up off the street and disappearing them. And like, what are you going to do? The cops aren't going to do anything um, because the cops are in on it. It's like, so the whole thing is just terrifying to me. Um, and I mean, it doesn't stop me from living my life, but I sure like it much more in the country now. Um, but that seems like it should be a bigger story than it is. Um, anyway, the point of the whole, he's going to run again, or Anna's right. That's just a distraction, and Sonny is 100% correct that just because it's unconstitutional doesn't mean he isn't going to try. He's proven he doesn't give a flying fuck about the Constitution. Um, so that's a fun way to start the week. And then the next thing they talked about was Amber Ruffin being uninvited to be the comedian at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And stupid fucking Amy Alyssa Farfar Griffin is like, oh, this was the right call because in a time when people are mistrusting media, we don't need to be biased in our. Hello, Amber Ruffin is not a journalist; she's the comedian, and that's what scares them. That's not a responsible move. That's not um, that is 100% obeying in advance, and that's just bullshit. Um, you know, Bezos removed from the Washington Post. the democracy dies in the dark or whatever it is. Um, the tagline from the Washington Post. Um, because uh, you know most of that corporate media isn't really interested in um, being unbiased and telling the truth about what's happening. So this whole both sidesism and trying to create some sort of normalcy around this utter chaotic piece of crap regime. My the Again, I have to go back to the only thing that gives me hope is that they're just so fucking dumb. And we all thought the scarier part was that he'd have smarter people around him this time, and it seems he didn't do that. Um, Marco Rubio is pretty disappointing, um, but uh, the rest of them are just clowns. So I guess we have that going for us. Um, but Whoopi sits there at the end of the table and says, um, you know, people are so worried and they don't know what to do, and but there's they they need to do, they need to. Um, what did she say? But there's so many things you can do, and then she gave one example of a woman who's going to teach Black history in a library. Great, that's great for her. But um, a year from now, that library probably won't be funded anymore, um, or less time than that. So it's sure great. Do the things that we can sort of help out at now, but like literally, how are we going to get rid of this regime? 4 years out, and he's already talking about staying longer. And I don't know how much our economy can withstand all of this tariff, no tariff, tariff, no tariff, tariff, no tariff, and insecurity and instability. So, like, it's got to be bigger than just teaching history at the library. Um, and I find it interesting that there's so much um, attention on Tesla protests. And I get it; they're really about let's tank Tesla to help tank Elon Musk and protest his role in the government. I get that, but there's bigger stuff. If it's not Elon Musk tearing apart all of these agencies, somebody else is going to do it. Who doesn't own a car dealership? I mean, a car company dealership. Anyway, um, I just feel like the problems are bigger, so our solutions need to be bigger. But then I know that just leads to paralysis. So sorry, whoop, but uh, I see that there's something happening on April 5th, but I don't understand yet what it is because there's all sorts of resistance groups that are banding together to do some sort of protest something, um, which at least it's on a Saturday. So we'll see what comes of all of that. Anyway, big heady stuff to think about at the beginning of the week, which I don't really want to. So I am going to get some fresh air and take a walk around the lake.